Fucking busy as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. God damn, dude. I fucking hate it. I hate going anywhere. I've decided fuck going anywhere. Every time I go somewhere,
dude.
I mean, it's fun to go, but then like, because at the beginning of the month, there was my birthday. Then right after that was my son's birthday.
Man.
So that was two. Oh, thanks, buddy.
I didn't know that. I don't know why I didn't know. Did I send you something?
Yeah, you did. You guys sent me cigars.
Oh, that's right. I did send. Okay. I forget everything.
Yeah. Dude, by the way, we got to talk about those bundles. Son, you did a good thing with those.
Yeah.
Oh,
good,
dude, the fucking the cafeteria cigars. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely get cancer smoking those things. 'Cause I'm gonna smoke a million of them for sure. Dude, I've already gone through like a whole bundle of those things, and I'm about to order more. Like those are. I thought one of the other ones was my favorite, but after smoking, the cafeteria cigars are by far my favorite.
Which one did you also think was your favorite?
I really liked the cafeterias. I liked it was all the darker Maduro ones, of course.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
You know, it was
course.
It was the darker one. Well, hold on, I got them in here. The cafeteria is by far my favorite.
Man, it looks great
the
back
Maduro
there.
ball. Thanks. Oh, you
looks
can see
great.
it?
Yeah, that looks phenomenal.
The darker ballparks were really good.
Yep.
And the Scrooges I liked.
Awesome.
I liked them all. Don't get me wrong. The classics were good. I enjoyed them all, but just because of my flavor profile, I tend to lean a little Maduro-y.
For sure.
But yeah, dude, those cafeteria cigars, dude. For how much are those? You sent me that bundle, so I don't know how much they are.
They're all around $50 a bundle, 55, some 60.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Like 20 of those cigars for $50. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
I know. People don't know what to make of it right now. They're like, what's going on here? How are you doing this?
They're like, what are you doing? This is like not real. Like you're doing some bullshit. There's no way you're selling this long leaf filler cigars for $50. Like what's happening?
Basically.
Well, because most of the time it's Cuban sandwiches or something, right? Like at that
yeah,
price
so
range.
that's short filler. I've never sold anything short filler that I know of on our site. We may have a few like kind of no-name products that may use short filler that I don't know, but I'm sure they put it on their box that it's short, and like people that are looking for it know that it's short filler. But I've never been involved in anything short filler because the factories I work with don't do short filler typically.
Yeah.
There is,
and I mean, yeah, and that's why the price is so crazy. Because most of the time when you get down to that $50 or less for a bundle, you're dealing with short filler cigars because what they're doing is they're taking their scraps from their long filler stuff, and then they're throwing it in a cigar, and that's how they're able to sell it for $2 a cigar or whatever.
You know, this is what happens when you become really good friends with manufacturers. You start to support them in ways that they need support. These are ways that they won't approach you on when you're a new client because they're more vulnerable. They don't want to tell you, hey, I make X amount of stuff that I can't even sell at the end of the year, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's a really good situation. And you can see there's nothing wrong with these cigars. There's no visible, I mean, I'm sure everything has a bump or a scratch, you know, every now and then. But,
dude, like I found a couple that had a little soft spot or whatever. And one or two construction issues. Not the cafeteria ones. I haven't seen. Now, I might have just got a lucky batch, but like there hasn't been one with a draw issue, one with an imperfection. Like they've been perfect. That's why I'm like, those are my dudes.
Yeah.
The other ones, I might have one that had a little draw issue. I had to use my draw tool on. But again, they're bundle cigars. So it's like if you get one that has a draw issue out of 20 and they're $2 a fucking stick, you're still killing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're spending on average in all the bundles $2 to $3 per cigar. I mean, you can't beat it. They're basically like the prices we get. I just decided to do it because I think it's necessary for Privada as a retailer to be able to serve any customer that comes to. And let's be honest, a lot of people are smoking yard gars and inexpensive stuff when they
and you got guys like me who smoke a lot and you literally can't afford to smoke $15 cigars 3 times a day. You know what I mean? Like at night when I sit down with my whiskey, I'm smoking a $50 cigar, but all throughout the day when I'm just like smoking whatever, I can't spend $70 a day on cigars. Like I ain't balling like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy.
That's a part of it for sure. And these are great quality cigars. They're all Nicaraguan right now. I'm adding some Dominican to the lineup, and I'm just working that out. But they're great quality. I mean, like, I got to test one from a really incredible factory from Dominican Republic, and I'm looking at the wrapper, and this isn't even as nice as what's on those. So, it's we're lucky, and we've been doing it long enough now where we've become a good partner to a lot of people, and so you get favors.
You made my day. You made my day with those, bro. Because
thank you.
It's allowed me to stockpile some of my, like, I never have a good stockpile of good cigars in my humidor. And because I've got these now, I don't feel it necessary to smoke those nicer cigars as much, which has allowed me to now start to build up a stockpile because I just grab a fucking cafeteria cigar.
And it looks great when you have those name brands and the limited edition stuff on the top shelf. It looks great when you open it up. It makes you smile,
Yeah, that's what I've got on the top right now. And I used to never be able to keep it more than 5 or 6 cigars in there because I would smoke them so fast. And now I've got, I've got probably, I don't know, maybe 100 or so like higher end cigars in there because since you sent me those, because I just smoke those up, dude. I love them. I think they're great.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So you've done a good thing for us, folks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, man.
I've talked about them on every live stream, dude. Every live stream, I'm like,
really? Oh, that's great, man. I gotta hop on.
You guys have got to check
out
because I'm always trying to help people out with like, hey, like, where's the fucking like
you've always
budget
done
cigar
that. Even your reviews on products are like they're not like, hey, I'm trying to sell you this product. They're like, hey, I bought this product and let me tell you what I think of it. So that's really cool.
And so if I find something that's good and cheap, oh, dude, I'm singing it from the hilltop, son, because people love that shit. You know what I mean? I know how expensive the cigar hobby can be, and I make a reasonably good living. So I can only imagine, people that, more, I don't want to misspeak when I say this, but people have a more modest income and they're trying to keep up with the cigar hobby. It can fucking be like, good God.
Yeah.
Like, it can be devastating, bro.
For sure. I'll share some more cigar news with you. So I made it for the members. Oh, look, it bottlenecks with the members, right? Like, so you have like 7,500 members that probably never write in. I don't necessarily have a personal relationship with them. They're just great members, and I appreciate them, and they appreciate the box. Then you have probably another 1,500 members that write in. I know them a little bit. That kind of thing. And then it gets down to these smaller and smaller groups to where like there's like 50 members that have my phone number. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I've kind of like when I do these things with the club, it all kind of goes like that too, because the people that are more involved get more involved. So I did this thing where I said, hey guys, I'm going to let you guys choose, because the one complaint is I do a lot of the band art in Privada, and I love doing it. It's such it's such a pleasure for me to do the art and get involved in that. Shout out to Sedated Hype. Shout out to Josh Markle for doing the actual work. And so I gave these guys, I said 2024 is Year of the Member, which is always the thing here, right? But I'm going to let you guys pick which brands you want to work with. And so they compiled a list of 24 brands, okay?
No shit. I'd be curious to see that list.
I have the list somewhere. I have it right here in my phone. Every person on this list that either owns their own factory or is from the country of origin has said yes to us. Every person who is American and doesn't own their own factory has said no to us, which is crazy to me. So I just kind of wanted to get your vibe on this, because it's insane to me. It's a 10,000 cigar order. So you're turning down 10,000 cigars. Most of them are citing production. I won't be able to get the production. I'm like, it's 2024. It's not even like around the corner yet.
We're barely halfway through 2023.
These are guys that I work out of some of their factories, most of their factories. And they're like, no, you don't understand. I can't even get my own product. And I'm like, okay. And then I had one guy who's a very popular guy. He told one of my guys, he said, listen, I can't kind of say this in public, and maybe I shouldn't even share this, but he's like, Privada has retail enemies. Like, the people in retail see him coming and they're worried. And so I make my living selling to these retailers. I was here 20 years ago. You guys weren't. And these guys kept me afloat for those 15 years in the interim. If I start selling to you, they've made it very clear that it won't be good for me, and I can't jeopardize that business. And that I clearly understand. Well, I do understand that to a degree.
Well, I understand his position on that. Mm-hmm. What I don't understand is there's so much in the cigar industry, and maybe it's in more industries than I think, and I'm just naive to it. And because of your connection into the industry, I hear more about it because of you. But it just seems like there's a lot of underhanded bullshit that goes on in the cigar industry that's just like, I mean, it's almost just like, fuck, man. Just it's like, why does everybody have to be such a dick? Like, I am very much a rising tide mentality person, right? I'm that way. I don't hold any secrets. I don't try to edge anybody out of any you know, like even with my merch, you know, and stuff that I sell, if somebody asks me like how I had it made or what I had it made of, I share. I'm not trying to keep any secret because I figure there's enough people out there for all of us. Like I don't,
100%.
You know, in rising tide raises all boats kind of mentality. I don't understand. I feel like in the cigar industry, and maybe because it's an old school industry and there's a lot of older guys that don't get it or what, but I just feel like there's a lot of
It's not the cigar industry, and let me say this. So,
well, that's what I'm saying. There's probably more industries that I'm not aware of that it happens in.
No. Yes, I'm sure that happens, but I've also heard from people that are in this industry that used to be in other industries that tell me this is insane, that it does not happen in their previous industry. That even if someone was an authorized dealer of something, they'll get you whatever you need just because you're in the industry. Okay. And so
I mean, the more product you can get in people's hands, the more word gets out there, the more possible sales you've got.
Jeremy, there is no better marketing in cigars other than winning Cigar Aficionado's #1 spot. Even #2 does not get you as much marketing power as being in Privada Cigar Club or the Limited Cigar Association. It's 10,000 people overnight. You're in their home with a story, the tasting notes, pairing. It's insane. So when these people turn that down, I get it. Look, maybe there's other business obligations, but I do notice this. The Cubans all battle it out with each other. Dominicans all battle it out with each other. The Nicaraguans, they all, no, you don't want to go there. You got to come, you know. And so these are my white American counterparts. Now, they own brands. I own the retail, so I don't make cigars the way that they claim to. But it's almost, there's like, the way that I see tobacco, Jeremy, for people that get into it, into the business, is it's like a woman, and she runs around with all of us, okay?
She's a little bit of a hoe,
and you don't. She's the player. We're the side chicks, and it's okay until you see her with another dude, and then you start getting in your feelings. So it's like you don't want to see a guy that's like you from the same place that you are and gets in better with that thing that you love so much. So I get it, man. There's ego. Also,
he's all balls deep, and you're like, hey, hold on a second.
That's not right.
I can't.
Yeah, that ain't
that's
right.
Not right.
Right.
That's
only
not right.
I'm allowed to do that.
She doesn't let me do that to her. What the hell's going on?
There you go. So I think that's it. And again, it's funny because the other ethnicities in our industry do the same thing. The Dominicans, you go to a factory, hey, you can't go over here. This guy uses junk. We use the best. And you know, it's the same. I think a lot of people, and I think that it's a racially charged thing too, where like a lot of people are worse to their own kind than they are to strangers. And I think that also happens. It's just human nature, man. It even happens in your family. Like your family sees you at your worst versus strangers, you're always smiles and fucking being kind, you know?
Well, and you know, the thing I don't understand to what you were saying about you know, oh, you don't want to go, this guy's junk, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Is, you like that burp, by the way?
Yeah.
Is,
I never have to burp when I want to.
Oh, dude, on my live streams, I fucking burp constantly. I try to rate them. I
never have to. I'm always like, when do I get the burp?
Well, you're not drinking. You don't drink it. I've never seen you drink anything while we're on
I don't.
I'm over here slugging down coffee and smoking cigars. But anyway, I never have been, and maybe this is naive, and I know it's out there, and I know a lot of people do this. I have never been one to do it. I don't understand in my opinion, marketing, it's a smarter marketing technique, and it comes across less sleazy if instead of downing other people in order to get your sales, you just make sure you have the best shit out there, and you talk about how good your product is.
Yeah.
If you have a good product and you could talk about all the good parts of your product, there's no reason to be like, oh, you don't want them, they suck, we're better because. I pretend like there's not even anybody out there, and I just talk about my stuff.
Yeah.
I don't understand the human desire to not only promote oneself, but to shit on everybody else. I just don't
believe
get that.
So I get like 97% love. But the 3% hate, you're always going to get hate, right? And
you're always going to get hate. I get
it's
hate.
indicative of
we
doing.
We talked about that a million times.
It's indicative of doing something serious. But the 3% that hates, what I notice about them is their perspective on me is completely different. They think I'm just out here looking for fucking problems all the time. And the truth is, I play defense. The only thing I did differently than the people that came before me, as far as like the shit talking and all that stuff goes, is once the gloves were off, I took it to the street. Like, I went out and said what I had to say, and I still do. Like, if you ask me about someone in our relationship, I'll tell you straight up exactly what it is. Like, I don't.
He's like, he's a cocksucker.
Yeah. Basically, like, yo, if and so, there's been some relationships that were tumultuous from the beginning, and we've kind of like, had those things play out in public. But I don't just like get on the horn and just start saying bad things about someone unless I realize this about myself too. I'm all defense. I'm very little offense. I really don't go out looking for anything. It's just, bro, I'm very transparent. When you send me a million texts saying I can't do this, I can't do that, eventually I'm gonna be like, fuck, man, this guy. Same thing with the brands, and maybe that's why some of these guys don't like me. But I believe that it all comes down to two things. One, they have to protect their businesses, and two, it's a lot of jealousy, man. No, listen, these guys have been here for 15, 20 years, busting their hump, and here we come in 5 years and create a literal movement with something unheard of in the cigar industry, which is month-to-month repetition of business. These poor guys, they have to go out month after month after month, hiring the right people, doing the right things to try to get people to buy their brand. There's no consistency in that, and that's a real hard thing to deal with month after month after month. And so my hat's off to them for doing that, but all the more reason why you should be marketing your products as best as possible. And by the way, we run Cigar Public. We've been posting all these people's press releases and stuff. And it's like, when you say no to me, it doesn't make me want to do more of supporting, Right. It's very clear. And it was very clear to me after year 1 or 2 of this industry that I needed to be with the connections. I needed to be with the guys who actually make the product. That's what Privada stands for. If the members want brands, I give them the opportunity to get those brands. And like I said, we already have enough yeses for the year, but I was a little disappointed that some of the brands that I've had some friction with, or I could tell didn't like me, haven't changed their mind after 5 years of seeing major, major growth and success, and are willing to cut their nose to spite their face for an order of 10,000 plus cigars.
Please tell me that Plasencia is one of the ones on the list.
Plasencia, I don't speak to, and I'll tell you why. This falls into the same category. I don't speak to Plasencia because AJ started at Plasencia, and it's his uncle. Okay?
Uh-huh.
I don't know anything other than I just don't want to muddy my relationship with AJ. It's like if I'm working with you and that's your cousin and you started with him, and who knows if there's animosity because you left him and became one of the biggest brands in the world. So I don't want to play with those South American, Central American relationships. That's stuff that I don't know about, and so I stay away from that. Plasencia was on the list, of course. However, we work with a very well-known cigar company that's on the come-up called Cavalier. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Sebastian. These guys are also...
I'm not familiar with them.
They're either related or they just have a great working relationship with Plasencia, and they use mostly, I think, all Plasencia tobacco. and you get a similar vibe out of their cigars, but you get it with Sebastian's character, and he's got a little bit more of a rebellious thing going on. They're a little, kind of spicier and stuff like that.
Does he use any of that Ometepe tobacco?
So Ometepe is grown in the by volcanic.
It's like a volcanic region.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah. And the truth is,
I love that shit. It's in a lot of Plasencia cigars, which is
now Plasencia won't lie about that.
The thing that I taste differently about their cigars, I'm pretty sure, is either the Ometepe or the what's the other one they put in a lot of their cigars?
No, huh? It's not. It's not.
It's Ometepe and.
I'm not saying it's not in there. I am saying that some companies lie about Ometepe, but I don't think Plasencia would do it. They have more tobacco than anyone, okay? Because they're the biggest grower. If you notice, their brand is not really their big business. Their big business
Jalapa. That's what it is. Ometepe and Jalapa.
Okay, so Jalapa, everyone can get typically. That's Aganorsa. They grow that, and it's a sweet, fantastic cigar tobacco that can be used as a wrapper. Ometepe, there's so little of it. When I see people talking about they have it, I'm always a little like, eh. What I can tell you, based on my knowledge and experience, when I smoke Plasencia, what I think that they're actually doing different, and I don't know if they'll ever admit this, is I believe they have more growing region in Honduras than they do in Nicaragua. They also have factories in Honduras. They're really kind of a Honduran company at the heart, but they're very large in Esteli. So I believe that they're growing different strains of tobacco in other regions that the Nicaraguan cigar manufacturers are not, and it's giving a sweeter profile. So they make a great product.
I tell you, and I know we don't normally go this deep into cigars on this podcast, and we kind of been off on a tangent, but I tell you, one of the things, because it's coming up tomorrow, actually, on the live stream, is we're doing the Alma Fuerte Sixto, which is like it's a fatter gauge than I normally smoke. I don't normally smoke.
What time on Wednesdays when you do these? It's at 8 p.m. Eastern?
8 p.m. Yeah, you ought to pop in there and say hello.
No, I will.
We got to have you back on again soon. It's been a couple months. It's about time to refresh. What we ought to do is have you and the wife on and have like a ladies' night, because my wife comes on them all now, and the people love her being on there.
That would be great.
And it also helps me like keep an eye on the comments, and it helps having somebody there to talk to and help me with stuff. You ought to get the wife on, and we have like a ladies' night and have both the wives on and do it here in the next month or so.
That'd be really cool. They'll probably blow up and leave us behind.
We still got to have you and Ophelia up sometime for some barbecue.
Oh, my gosh, yes. I'm so ready. Ophelia made the nicest Father's Day weekend for me. Cooked me all my favorite stuff. I had ice cream. I had chicken parm, homemade. And then we just all got sick from eating shit that we never eat anymore.
Bro, and I know, what was I going to say about, before we go off on that, I do want to get back to that, though, because I want to get off cigars and not stay on it too long, because we talk about them so much. But something I noticed about that Sixto is there's something weird going on there, and weird in a good way, that it had the boldness of flavors that I would expect from like a good Nicaraguan cigar. But I don't know if it's the aging they do on that cigar or what, but the smoothness it's funny that you said that about Dominican, because it had the smoothness of like a Davidoff, right? So it has like that smooth, rounded, soft edges kind of thing that you would get from like something like a...
It's juicy to me too, the stuff Plasencia does. It's a little like fruit-like.
It makes your mouth water.
Yes. Yeah. I noticed that. There's like a mouth I think
watering.
That's probably the Honduran. I'm just going to say that for the record. It's probably their Honduran. Remember, Honduras is a weird country. Like, you can't just, like, there are guys that can just grab tobacco and go, oh, this is from Honduras. But for the most part, each family in Honduras, their tobaccos taste totally different from one another.
Yeah. It's just weird, because I was smoking it the other night, and I was like, wow, this thing's got the bold stuff that I would expect from a Nicaraguan cigar, but it reminds me almost of like a Davidoff or a Honduran, something that's a little, because generally, for me at least, a lot of the Honduran and Dominican cigars are a little smoother than Nicaraguan cigars. They're a little like, there's not
funny in the beginning,
edges.
When people first started going out to Nicaragua, Honduras was first. Honduras was the closest soil they felt that. And by the way, I'm sitting with the guys that were doing this. Okay. I've gotten in good with the family. I don't want to say it yet because I don't want someone trying to spoil that relationship. But I'm working with some people that I'm going to do a documentary on and projects with. And these were the guys that brought everyone out there. And so in the beginning, Honduras it was the opposite. Honduras was looked at as this rough around the edges powerhouse of a tobacco, and Nicaragua was like, oh, this is a little more refined. But they really never grew wrapper in Nicaragua. It took a really long time to grow wrapper. And that's one thing I want to bring to your attention. It's come to my mind. It's through the education that I'm getting from these masters of our industry. And I want to bring it out there because I think they want people to know it too, is the Dominican Republic never made a pure cigar. A puro was never something that they call them puros in Spanish because that's just the word for cigars. But Dominican Republic was always used to be a filler, maybe a binder, but it was more of just the inside of the cigar. It was never the wrapper. And even to this day, most wrapper is not grown in. That's what Fuente got kind of really famous for, was the Opus X was the first time anyone was able to grow a Dominican wrapper. Similar with Honduras. You know
my feelings about Opus X.
Nicaragua, the reason why Nicaragua is so special is because it's, I'm not going to take that bait. I respect that, man. I see how they may hold a grudge over there, and I just never mean anything to be that personal. I feel like it's going to ruin.
No.
I feel like
I like them. I think they're good cigars. I just think for the price they charge for a lot of those Opus X's, there's a lot of cigars out there that I think are as good or better at a much lower price point. I think Opus X has kind of turned into the Buffalo Trace of cigars, where it's achieved this level of like notoriety. So like the price of them have just gone crazy. And it's not to say it's not a good cigar. I mean, one of the most prestigious cigar factories, manufacturers, whatever you want to call it, in the world, like not taking anything away from Fuente for what they do because they're fantastic. But it's like, fuck, man. There are some fucking killers out there for $15. Killers. And Opus X, sometimes those things are like $30 a piece. And I'm like, what? Like that's a lot, bro, for a cigar that for $15, there's some straight murderers out there. I mean, would you not agree that in the $15 price range, there's some murderers?
I always hesitate about talking about Fuente because, you know, Fuente and I had like a little bit of like, I don't know what you want to call it on social media. I had done something.
I'm not talking any shit about Fuente at all.
I thought it was fun and playful, but I think it got taken really seriously, and it bothers me to this day only because I want to interview them and I want to tell their story, and I feel like I'm unable because there's this veil there now where I'm just off limits, and that's fine. It's probably, if I'm being honest, I don't typically smoke Fuente. What Fuente has done in this industry is absolutely phenomenal. The Opus X story in itself needs to be told. Do I agree 100%. That they're overpriced? I don't know. The price comes down to how these things are done. Are they overpriced just from a price perspective? Yeah, of course, man. I went into a shop in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania that Carlito supposedly has ties to, and I heard that it's like sort of family over there, so you can get Opus X. And it's true, man. They had like a whole humidor of just Opus X. And I thought I was paying retail, and when I went to the counter, my bill for 3 cigars was about $200 and something.
But see, that's what I'm saying,
and
man.
I
like,
almost stopped the sale. I didn't want to be cheap, and I just want to make sure I am aware of the Opus X family of products. And so I smoked these things, and I was like, dude, what are you for this price? No.
And that's kind of my point. And this is what I say every time somebody brings Opus X up. And it's not that I don't think it's a good cigar. And it's not that I don't think the family does great things for the cigar industry and they don't make a fantastic product. And it's not that I don't think the Opus X is one of those like benchmark cigars everybody should have in their humidor, everybody should have smoked and all that stuff. I agree with all that. I just think, because, I mean, dude, I've seen some of those cigars $30, $40 a piece, $50 a piece. And it's like, man, when you start getting that price range, it better come with somebody under the table jerking me off while I fucking smoke it. Like, seriously, bro. Like, because for the 15 these days in cigars, in that $15 to like $18 price range, there are murderers out there, bro.
All right,
like,
now let me explain something to you. When I see this list and I see that the members still want things from people who don't actually, now I'll give you my opposite side, okay? My edible just kicked in, so we got a new attitude. You know, my thing is why would you want
my
products?
coffee's kicking in, so I'm like, fucking let's go.
Why would you want to buy your sneakers through a broker? Like, we do it because you have to go to a retailer, but why do I want someone to go to Nike, make a pair of sneakers with their logo on it, and then sell them to me for a higher price, and knowing that Nike kept their best leather for themselves? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you go, that's the thing about Plasencia. That's the thing about AJ. That's the thing about when you have the source and you get to go direct to the source. Trust me, they're saving the best quality stuff for themselves. Now, there are a few players in the industry that have their own brands that are so involved in the blending process and the purchasing of tobacco process that it does become a signature of their own and no one can do what they do. But really, that's like one or two people. You know, so for me, seeing those names on the list, I was like, well, okay, I get it. You want to see those names in Privada. But, man, Privada's about the factory. It's about the people that actually make the products. And trust me when I tell you, we are getting their best work because this is the first time they've been allowed to come out of the back room. They're like, wait, I'm on social media? These guys are tagging me on social media? No one ever tagged. They always tagged some client of mine. And now they're tagging me, and they love it. And they're giving me their best stuff. I got the best master blenders in the world making us cigars. These are guys that the brands that we want to work with. So for me, I was just like, why are we chasing brands? This is the best. We should be charging people to be in this club, to get in 10,000 houses overnight. Come on, man.
Well, and you know, that's why I love AJ so much, right? Going back to the Opus X thing, and not to bring them back into it, but just in that same subject matter.
I know what you're going to say, and he did that on purpose. He did that on purpose. When I asked him, why are your cigars so inexpensive? That's what you're going to say, right? If they're accessible. Yeah. He said, I want every man, no matter what their income, to be able to enjoy my cigars. And I said, yeah, but I don't like the marketing. I feel like when you first came out, you should have came out with $13 and $15 and $16 cigars and then bring the price down, which no one's ever done before. But it makes more sense because I think a lot of people just look at AJ's cigars as a utility. If I take an AJ cigar, take the band off and give it to you, you're going to be like, wow, is this good?
Well, that's what I'm saying. And you got guys like AJ that are rolling murderers for like under $10. And then you get something like an Opus X, which is still a fantastic cigar, but like, is it that much better than some of AJ stuff for sub 15? Like,
Opus is something, it's a rite of passage. It's a rite of passage. It has to be smoked. You have to get to know it. And I believe that that's where, between that and the collectors, that's where Opus X makes its living, is you have to smoke it. So there's 30 million people out there that smoke cigars once in a while, and they have to try an Opus at some point in their smoking career. So that's a lot of sales.
And look,
they also look beautiful on Instagram.
Well, they're beautiful cigars. I mean, the wrapper, the construction is always perfect. The wrappers are beautiful. The artwork is beautiful. The banding is beautiful. The boxes are beautiful. Everything about them. I mean, and look, me saying this, do I still buy them occasionally? Absolutely, I do. Yeah. I still, about once a year, will buy a couple of them and smoke them just because I want to be up on, what the current releases are and what's going on. Yep. So, I mean, I'm not saying there's not a market for them. I'm just saying I do think that they've become the Buffalo Trace of the cigar community.
I would say the Pappy.
I feel the same way.
Based on price.
That's what I'm saying. Buffalo Trace makes Pappy, right? I don't mean the Buffalo Trace like the, or the Blantons, right?
Yes.
Blantons.
It's very much like a Blanton's.
Right, and Blanton's is made by Buffalo Trace also. So Blanton's, is it a great whiskey? Absolutely, it's fantastic. I've got 2 bottles right there, and I've got a third one in my counter down. I love Blanton's. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Do I think it's worth the $200 a bottle you see people paying for it sometimes because it's
but that's a collector's.
Crazy...
That's collector. That's right. And Opus X is the same way. They have collectors out there.
It's the same thing, right? And that's why I say, I think
I love
Blanton's
collections.
I love collections too.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I'm like, because somebody had asked me in the last live stream we did, they're like, what do you think would you be willing to pay for Blanton's? And I'm like, look, if I couldn't get a bottle and I was a collector and I couldn't find a bottle anywhere,
am I wrong in thinking that's a $100 bottle, or is that am I wrong?
No, I mean, realistically, if you can get it for $100, you're doing pretty good. Retail on it, I believe, is like $69 or $70 retail. You almost never find it at retail unless you happen to get one and you're in a state that does regulations on pricing and stuff like that. It's really hard to find Blanton's these days at retail. But I think retail price on Blanton's is, if I'm not mistaken, it's between $69 and $80. It's somewhere.
I got to tell you something. We're doing our own bourbon, Privada Cigar Club bourbon.
Oh, dude! By the way, hold on one second. You can. I had to shut my door. All my dogs are downstairs going nuts. Some delivery man must be here. I didn't want it to show up in the recording, but wait, I got your bottle of Penelope.
Good.
Thank you very much. By the way,
you're very welcome.
That shit's delicious. That shit's delicious. I drank it on a live stream. I enjoyed it. Everybody wanted a bottle, and I was like, you can't have a bottle because I don't think they even have any more of it. It was a barrel pick, but I feel bad that you can't experience this because it's delicious.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I love being able to.
My point, and the reason I brought that up is you said you're going to do your own whiskey. If your palate can pick that, I have faith that your whiskey will be good.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, man, we're in business. I would say in the next 6 months you'll see bottles, and I'm gonna do what Privada does, which is do things totally different from anyone else, and I'm just gonna do it my way and enjoy it. And if I get stuck with 1,000 bottles, I'll be happy because I get to give them as gifts. They're such an amazing gift. There's nothing that makes people happier than a bottle of bourbon. It's like they get it and they're like, wow, thank you. Thank you. They're genuinely happy. Like, cigars is cool. Oh, shit, thanks a lot. But the bottle, they're like, wow, what a great gift. And so I am in love with this idea.
I think it's because it lasts. It lasts a little longer, right? Whereas
it's
cigar,
expensive.
It's a one-time situation.
Yes, yeah.
You know, you smoke it. Once you smoke it, it's gone. I have bottles of whiskey. That one right there is a bottle of George T. Stagg that my dad gave me probably 12 years ago. And now it sits there, and I probably won't drink it anymore because my dad's no longer with us, of course. And it was a gift from him, so it's like a special thing. So whiskey can almost become like it's a thing, man. Like
it's a piece of furniture.
It's not. It can be something that you have for years because it never goes bad. As long as you keep it in a climate-controlled environment and out of the direct sun, that should be good 30 years from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In fact, when I first started getting into bourbon, you're going to love this story. When I first started getting into bourbon, I was at my father's house in Allentown, Pennsylvania for his annual Christmas party. And I told him that I was getting into bourbon, and he said, "Oh, your grandfather has some bottles downstairs that, he was long gone." He said, "I saved some of his bottles." So I went down there and I went through the stuff, and I found it wasn't quite sealed because the age had deteriorated the paper, and then the cork got in it, so I had to filter the cork out. But it was a bottle of old Fitzgerald made at the Stitzer Weller from 1950 something, 1950. Oh,
wow.
And so I actually shared this with. Did you ever see the Crash Test Dummies bourbon? What is it? Bourbon Scotch Test Dummies?
Yeah.
What's their name?
Scotch Test Dummies.
Scotch Test Dummies. I shared it with them on one of their 12-hour things long before the Cigar Club. Well, actually, right around the time I started the Cigar Club, and they had me come on and drink it with them, and it was absolutely amazing. It reminds me of a Pappy. It's from that same factory. One time, another story about bourbon, I was at a bar doing an event in L.A., and we were smoking cigars, and they left us up there alone, and they had a bottle of Pappy and a bottle of the yellow Four Roses, and it was the cheap Four Roses, like in plastic almost, right? And I was like,
oh, Jesus.
I was like, I guarantee you, none of you motherfuckers are going to be able to tell the difference between these two things. And so we did a taste test on them, and the Pappy was so much better. It was just, I thought it was going to be like comparable. There was nothing comparable about this.
No, especially when you get up into the slightly more expensive bottles, it does become a diminishing returns kind of thing where it's a lot closer, and to somebody who doesn't drink whiskey a lot, it'd be easy to mix them up. But yeah, when you get down to those like bottom basement, almost plastic bottle, like there's a youth and a bite to those whiskeys because they just haven't had the refinement and the age to kind of smooth out that like a good whiskey does. There's a difference when you get down. I'll tell you, there's some $50 bottles of bourbon that you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference between that and a $800 bottle of Pappy.
So anywhere from 52 or 54 and up, based on the research that I've done and all the, I'm talking to everyone, we're going over contracts.
Killers, bro. There's some killers in that price range.
That's the price range that if you're nice and you want people to buy this stuff, that's the price range you can end up in if you're a really good bourbon. That's what I see. Anything under that, and you're either screwing the pooch on yourself, you're not going to make a dime, or or you're using cheaper stuff.
You're that, or you're just not aging it near as long, so you don't have to hold on to it as long, so your profits don't have to be as high.
Yeah, but Jeremy, these guys, it's a list. It's a menu. They send you, these are our 8-year barrels. These are our 4-year barrels. These are and that's it. You just got to buy them pretty much sight unseen and start blending, or keep it right out of the thing. And so what I'm saying is, when you go high end, that's the price range that you're going to end up in if you're a nice guy who wants their stuff out. If you are not concerned about being a nice guy, I call that being a nice guy when you're an owner, not overcharge. If you want to be a nice guy and you want to sell bourbon, you're going to be in that 50 range. Anything up from there is strictly, as far as I can tell, in my limited experience as a purchaser now, it is strictly about the brand and the story and whatever else they're telling you they did to that. Also, if you start toasting barrels, now you're getting into a higher price range because that costs a lot more.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. There are some other things, and I mean, you may know more than me because if you're getting into buying, I've never been on that side of it. But just from stories I've heard from people in the industry, there are some things that make things different. Yeah. Right? Like, especially with Scotch, right? So if you've got a 40-year single malt Scotch.
Oof, Jesus.
You're just not going to be able to sell that for very cheap and make any money because it's been in a barrel for 40 fucking years. And you've had to warehouse that. You've had to store it. You've had to check on it. You've had to do all that. Lot. That's, so the only part where I say that I may disagree with you a little bit is some of the older stuff is going to be a higher price point in order just to justify the fact that it's taken so long to make it. But in general, you're right. I would say between $50 and $100 a bottle is where 90% of your good stuff can land. It can be affordable. If there's enough profit in there that they're making money on it, but it's not so crazy that they're marking it up through the roof. I mean, for instance, Blanton's. Blanton's we were just talking about. It's a very popular stuff. The retail price on that is $69 a bottle. That is what Buffalo Trace prices it at. I did not know that.
That makes me respect Blanton's a lot more.
That is what Buffalo Trace is the retail price, $69 a bottle. I think it's either 69 or 79. I forget. But my point is,
how has Buffalo Trace been able to do what it's done? I mean, in Florida, Buffalo Trace is liquid gold. In Pennsylvania, I could buy it all day long for $25 a bottle.
Oh, but brother,
here,
Weller,
you can't even get it.
We tell these stories about it all the time. Weller, I got some right there. I don't have any 12 because, I haven't even seen a bottle of that in God knows how many years. But Weller 12, when I was a kid in Kentucky, there used to be cut cases of it on the end aisles. The cheaper stuff that they just cut the box open and they stack it up in the end of the aisle. There would be cut cases of Weller 12 on the end of the aisles for $24, $25 a bottle.
Wow.
And that was Weller 12. It had a screw-off metal cap. It wasn't like that was the budget. Everybody, just get a bottle of Weller. You know what I mean? Like it was. Now, I haven't even. They switched over to a cork. Thank God, because for a while there, you were paying a couple $100 a bottle and it had a screw-off cap, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Wow.
So they have switched over to a cork, but, I haven't even seen a bottle of Weller 12, like, in years. Like, it's gotten that much huff and puff about it that I haven't even seen a bottle of it. And in my youth, you could buy it for $28, $29, $25.
So availability is part of the thing.
I think it was kind of a perfect storm, and this is just this is no direct knowledge.
Yeah.
This is my opinion. So I'll say that. So if anybody watches this, fucking keyboard warrior out there, fucking don't know what you're talking about, bitch. I talked to whatever. Man. This is just my opinion.
So over that guy.
Yeah, exactly. We all know that fucking guy.
Yeah.
My opinion is it was a perfect storm. It hit the bourbon is in a renaissance. Whiskey in general is in a renaissance right now, right? It is hit a high point it hasn't seen in probably 50 years, right? Like people are crazy about whiskey right now.
Yeah.
So you mix a lot of need for a product with not particularly a lot of it being out there, and it's supply and demand, and the fact that you can't just make whiskey to demand. So if your demand goes up tenfold in a 5-year span, but the minimum barrel age in one of your products is 7 years, well, then you're going to have a hard time keeping up with your demand, because in a 5-year span, your need has quadrupled, but the stuff that you barreled 10 years ago, you're still waiting on it to mature, right? So there's a little bit of a thing with how long it takes to age some of these Buffalo Trace brands, with the need going way up. Also, I won't say that I don't know that Buffalo Trace, and there's to this, maybe hasn't limited it on did I just say like 10 Ds? Limited it on purpose to increase that hype. Now, they say they don't, but here's the deal. I can't find Blanton's anywhere. Okay? Blanton's is super hard to find, right? It's really hard to find. I've been to Buffalo Trace. It is a huge piece of property. Tons of warehouses, tons of rick houses, huge facilities. I mean, a massive fucking situation, right? And I can't find a bottle of Blanton's anywhere. Woodford Reserve, double oaked, I can go in any liquor store in Florida and find it right now.
Yeah.
And that place is fucking tiny. I've been to Woodford Reserve also.
Yeah,
It
I've been
is
there.
half the size.
It's
It is a
beautiful.
quarter of the size of Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Their
though.
bottling room is smaller than the downstairs of my house.
Wow.
And that's their whole bottling facility. They still got guys rolling barrels on these little fucking railroad track things.
They just haven't figured out the marketing yet. But I gotta say, I put so much respect on Woodford. Like,
Dude, that place is beautiful.
When I pick up the bottle, maybe it's because I've been there, but when I pick up the bottle, I say, this is a good bourbon for the price, and it probably should cost a little bit more. That's how I feel about that brand for some reason.
Them and also a large portion of the Old Forester products, the Old Forester Whiskey Row series, right? Old Forester Whiskey Row series, especially like 1910, 1920, both delicious whiskeys, and you can find them in almost any store in the United States.
Good. Those are so good, both of them.
They're so good, and they're like $50 to $65 a bottle, and you can find them everywhere. So my question is, if Old Forester can keep up with demand and Woodford Reserve can keep up with demand, why is Buffalo Trace, with their huge ass facility, having such a hard time keeping up with demand if they're not doing it on purpose?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because they're using more of the juice for the more expensive stuff, because they can't believe that shit is selling at those prices. Okay. And so there's one. And then two, if you live in Pennsylvania, at least up until 2017, you can go into your state-run liquor store, which is such a depressing situation. You can go in there.
That sounds like that would be
so communist. It's so.
It just. I feel like there's no marketing. Really
nothing.
shitty fluorescent lighting. One of them sputtering and stuff.
Got it.
The guy behind the counter looks uber depressed.
It's less happy than Dollar General or Dollar Tree. Yeah, it is. It truly is. My Dollar Tree over here, it's in kind of a nice neighborhood, and people are happy in there. Everything, the floor's green, gives you a little it's like carpet, like green. Yeah.
Like, hey, this is nice in here.
And the people are relatively happy. It's never packed, so it's like they're cool. That's my Dollar Tree, but no, it's drab, it is gray, and it is just like you said, fluorescent. And it's like, what do you need if it's not there?
And you got to have the one fluorescent bulb that's like sputtering a little bit, making noise, just to give it that like super meth house look. Yeah.
The cool thing is with Pappy, the state, I'll give them a little credit where it's due, is they do a lottery with the allotment of Pappy.
Oh,
you go to your local store, you put your name on a list, and my friend won. He won a bottle of the 15, I think.
And how much did he have to pay for it?
Retail. They don't pay anything over
it's
retail.
Probably like $150 max, something like that.
Yeah.
And my local liquor store, and I won't say the name because I don't want it to come across as I'm being down on them, because I actually really love those guys. They're good to me. They keep a lot of really good bourbons in stock that I can't find anywhere else. So I don't want to say anything to sound. But last time I saw a bottle of Pappy in there, I want to say it was like $1,500. And that's what these stores are selling Pappy
my
for.
Friend
and that's
John,
not to down them, because I've seen it at that price 100 times. Like that is a standard
John
price for
He won the lottery, so it's legit. And he was like, look at what I could sell this for. He showed me a list. I think his bottle was like $2,300, the 15. They make a 15,
yeah,
right?
Dude, they make a 15. They make a 15
now
to 23.
I want to break you. I want to ask you about this. Have you tried any officially older than 4-year aged bourbon? And is it worth it for me to go after the 8-year barrels? The guy who's selling to me, who does this for everyone, he's like, bro,
I think 7's about the sweet spot, man.
He told me the 4s are the sweet spot.
I think 7's about the sweet spot. Like the average age that Woodford pulls their barrels is 7 years. Like it's not age stated, but that some might be a little under that. But their average barrel age that they pull for them to get the flavor profile they need for their standard stuff is about 7 years.
Does it make it better? Is it like cigars in the sense at all that I enjoy a 1 to 3 year? Anything over 5 years, it's starting to lose things for me. Like,
well, man, it's really hard to say for sure with whiskey because there's so many other variables.
Yeah.
It's
even the weather.
Where it was at in the rick house, right? How hot it is. Higher barrels get more heat than lower barrels. It's what the mash bill is of the whiskey itself. It's there's just a ton of factors that go into whiskey that it makes it hard to say, oh yeah, for sure, nothing over 4 years is worth the wait, and it's not any good unless it's 7 years. Like it's hard to say things in a like a definite way just because there's so many variables in there. But I will say sometimes I have found in 2 to 3, 4 year barrels, there's a little bit of a youthy note in there still. Not all the time. I've had some
to our listeners out there, what does that mean? When you say youth,
like
how do you pick up on
It's almost
youth?
like a grainy kind of, it's like a grainy youthy note. It's hard to put I can taste it, but it's hard to put it into words. Like think of like a grainy note. You almost taste the corn a little bit sometimes. Like it's think of like a grainy, youthy, corny kind of note that you get. Sometimes
also, do you
it's
like
not corny.
rye, rye or regular weeded bourbon? Or a regular
rye,
bourbon,
for some reason, I found don't generally need as much age as I don't think. I've had 3-4 year ryes that were excellent.
Do you like rye more than the more than 51%?
I wouldn't say I like it more. For a long time, I didn't think I liked rye because I had really spicy.
Me too.
Some spicy ryes that bugged me, and I was like, "Hey, that's too
much heartburn."
Right, but as I've gotten deeper into bourbon and tried a lot more ryes, some of my favorite bourbons or some of my favorite whiskeys are ryes or high rye bourbons, right? Because there's ryes and then there's high rye bourbons, and then there's just like normal rye bourbons.
So
if you can
only pick one bottle for the rest of your life, it doesn't like you can just tell me the mixture, the mash, not the brand per se. But if there's one type of bourbon for the rest of your life, what bourbon would that be? What do you gravitate to most?
Probably, it's tough to say, man, because depending on my mood and what I'm doing, that's going to vary. But I would say just like a typical bourbon, not necessarily a high rye bourbon, just 51% or higher corn because it has to be that to be bourbon, and then the other part of the mash bill kind of varies, but I would say like a typical bourbon, because there are so many really good bourbons out there. Ryes, I don't know. There's some really good ryes, man. One of my favorite bottles is that one right there. It's a Michter's. It's a toasted barrel strength rye that they make. Wow. And it's fucking delicious. It reminds me of campfires and marshmallows and like all the happy goodness. Cool. It's fucking delicious. But then, you know, the bottle that I say I could be happy drinking the rest of my life is like Old Forester 1920 or Woodford Double Oaked. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, those are just good standard down home plate bourbons. I tend to like toasted barrel stuff. Oh, yeah. Right?
So good.
Double oaked, obviously a toasted barrel, a double oaked. It's been double barreled product. 1910 is also a double barrel product from Old Forester. They do the same kind of process where when it's done maturing, they take it out, put it in a second freshly toasted barrel for X amount of months. 1910 double oaked, I could happily sip on those the rest of my life. And those are just standard down home plate bourbon mash bills. There's nothing, they're not high rye. They're not, you know, anything crazy. Wow. So it's tough. It's tough. I've had some scotches that I absolutely love, and that's a totally different world. So I mean, but if I had to pick one, I'd say down home plate standard bourbon.
Okay.
1910 or double.
What kind of proof? What kind of proof you like there, big guy?
Like 100 to like 115.
Wow.
Right in that range.
Coming in hot.
Yeah. Well,
I always love a good bottled in bond. I always love seeing that label, but I do appreciate like the 115s for some reason. That's what I gravitate toward.
Yeah, I mean, right about that proof, I find is usually there's enough ass on it that there's a good density of flavor. Usually it's got a good mouthfeel to it. I hate that term, but where is it?
Exceptional mouthfeel.
It's got good mouthfeel to it. It's got good density of flavor, but it's not so fucking hot that it feels like it's melting your taste buds.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you get up into some of like the Stags and stuff, the Stag Juniors I have, they're delicious, but they're hot. I mean, they're hot. Like you can't go into a pour of Stag Junior as your first pour of the night. You got to warm up to it because I mean, it's there to kick you in the sack. It's serious.
Yeah, no one wants, like, you don't really want that per se, but you want to toe that line. You want to, walk that line. I think that the reason why I gravitate towards higher proof spirits, period, is because for me,
because you get drunk faster. No,
for me, that's the part I don't like, is because I don't sip. So, but the thing is it opens up another level of flavor, and those flavors,
it's that density of flavor. You can pull stuff out of those that you have a hard time pulling out in 80 proof, 90 proof.
I get like on the Jack, I get like what I call like a glue. It's almost like a model kit glue. I've gotten on the Jack, I get like a banana thing, like a fake banana.
Oh, banana, yeah. Jack is well known for having a little banana in there.
There's another one that I get like this fake glue. Like it produces these flavors that are like, wow. And you're right, they're distinct. And so I really appreciate that as someone who likes to pull out different notes out of an experience.
It's that density of flavor in the 100 to 115. Like I said, it's easier to pull stuff out of because the flavors, like, you don't have to like search for them as much. They smack you right away. You're like, wow, that's like a burst of flavor. It's a different situation, but it's not so hot, like I said, that it's melts your face off. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is why usually stuff that's really usually pretty good is stuff that goes in at a low barrel proof. Mm-hmm. Usually a lower barrel proof ends up with a lower end proof, and they can still do like a barrel proof and not be 130 proof kind of situation. Yeah. And it usually brings out, from what I've heard from guys in the industry, it brings out more of the sugars in the barrel and stuff, putting it in a little bit of a lower proof. And they usually produces a nice, sweet, really delicious whiskey. Michter's is pretty well known for, they have a fairly low barrel entry proof on their stuff.
Wow.
So not only all the other stuff, mash bill, char level of the barrel, blah, 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 where it's at the rick house, but the proof that it goes into the barrel at greatly changes the flavor of the final thing.
That's so interesting. And the cigar industry is basically like the way that the bourbon industry, remember the true cigar industry can't speak English. 90%, 99%
right.
cannot speak English. So it's very hard to communicate, period. Okay.
Right.
And then you throw in there modern transparency of industry and movements. You know, like as bourbon progresses, these documentaries will take you. You can learn how to make the stuff. Okay.
Right.
And then there's all types of information out there that you can really get into. Whereas no one's ever shown the magic of fermenting tobacco. It is not totally different. I've even had major cigar manufacturers in here that like don't understand the process because they have a guy from Cuba that does it. Okay. And it is an art. It is a craft. And I think that those people should be, remember, you know, there is a part where even the factory owners don't want my exact vision. They like their name being out there, but I want to go even past that and find this is the fermenter. He used to ferment for this guy. Now he moved over here. That's why that one used to taste similar to this, and it doesn't anymore, and this does. And so, you know, to get the styles of these great, you know, artisans of our craft. But, you know, we'll try to ride that, you know, where we can.
The fermenting is interesting because I think that's one of the reasons why, and you can correct me, I might be speaking out of turn here. Might be getting into an area where I'm spitting false news.
I'm here, baby.
But if I'm not mistaken, most of your Maduro wrappers have been fermented further than your lighter wrappers.
Sure,
right?
For a number of reasons, and one of those is thickness. Okay, so they have to ferment it longer. That's why a San Andres will get you a beautiful white ash because it's been fermented a lot longer and there's much less chlorophyll left in that wrapper.
Or like what I've heard is Connecticut broadleafs are very thick, leathery. Like
Same thing. It's super thick.
Yeah.
Okay, and they have to be fermented at higher temperatures because of that, and for longer. Yeah. And you can't go up to the same temperature on a Connecticut shade versus a Connecticut broadleaf. You'll ruin it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and from what I understand, almost, and I compare it to whiskey because I know a little bit more about whiskey than I know about cigars. With a toasted barrel, bringing out the sweetness and the wood sugars and oak sugars and whatnot. I'm assuming that fermenting does a similar thing because those darker wrappers tend to be a little sweeter.
So, okay, this is something I'm learning a lot about, and so I can talk on it a little bit here. And these are the things that I want to say about this. There's a reason why they're checking the temperature on a pilon, which is a pile of tobacco, every day, a couple times a day, okay? There's a reason why they're smoking it every couple of weeks, because they're waiting for that sweet spot, okay? You don't want, contrary to what people believe, they believe you want all the ammonia out of it. You do not want if you get all of the ammonia out of it, that's like an overaged bourbon. It won't have life to it left. It won't, it will have faded, not gotten better. There is a point of diminishing return on that. And you also don't want to under ferment, which most people do. And that's why you have a lot of construction issues and things like that. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's an art form that I think needs a lot more attention to it. And that's when I go back to factories, that's what I'm going to be focusing on. And I will say this, it just goes back to my thing, which is like, if you're not in control of your tobacco, you're not in control of your cigars. So, you know, you go to the guys that are fermenting this stuff, are as vertically integrated as they can possibly be. Now, they don't have to grow it. They can get it and ferment it to their palate, right? But that's how you express yourself through these cigars. It's microorganisms and heat. So they're spraying this well water on it. It has organisms in it, okay? And some of these, I think you can actually, a scientist would probably stoke them with like how in, you know, they have like brewer's yeast and things like that. There's different cultures that can bring out probably different flavors. I don't even think they've gone there, most factories yet, okay? So it's very, very interesting, but there's a reason why they're constantly checking it. Is because unlike bourbon, it doesn't take years and years. I mean, these guys ferment for 6 to 3 years typically. All right, and the latter's very.
I didn't know they fermented that long.
Yeah, the latter's very rare. It's probably mostly like 6 months to a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it really that long? I believe so, but I'm sure a lot of guys rush it, and you can tell, especially certain countries rush the whole thing. Period, and then you have to re-ferment it yourself. But that's the point. Like, if you have a factory, you should be getting your tobacco and then re-fermenting it so that it has the characteristic that you're looking for. You can change that stuff.
You know, it's interesting you're talking about like doing everything in-house and having control from the ground up and all this stuff. And it reminds me of a company that I've been working with a little bit lately. It's a distillery out of Texas called Still Austin. And they've been sending me some stuff, and I really enjoy all their stuff. Not only do they put a lot of thought into the artwork, and it's local Texas artists that do the artwork for the bottle and stuff, which is really cool, but they source everything locally. Like they get the corn from local farmers, and they do all the things. So it's all, they have their hands deeply into every part of the whole process. And I don't know, man, it's almost like you can taste it. I mean, it's
the
they
TLC,
make good
baby.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's
it's almost like you can taste the love, man. It's
and you could probably taste the different wood variant or the different weather or the different. There's so much there.
Even down to the different corn they use, man. This last one they sent me was some kind of red corn that's grown in Texas or something, and instead of using like a normal corn that you would in to do a bourbon, they use this red corn, and I mean it's really good. I mean you can taste the difference. They're doing some cool stuff. If you haven't checked out anything from Still Austin. I'll try to get you a bottle of it.
Okay, cool.
But they do like a normal release. They do a barrel strength release, and then they do these like special releases, I think once a quarter or something, of these like little artsy. They try to do a little something different. Like I was saying, they did this one with red corn and all this stuff.
That's cool.
It's good stuff, man. It's good
stuff. That's very cool. Yeah, no, that's
But it just reminded me when you were talking about having your hands in every single part of it.
Yeah.
Down to the corn selection and making sure it's all grown in Texas and like, you know what I mean? Like there is something to that, right? That really being able to get in there.
That's where my head's at right now, because we're working on the bourbon and we want to put our signature on it because we want it to be bourbon. All bourbon pairs well with cigars, let's be honest. But we want it to be really, really cigar forward centric, you know, kind of flavors that will really pair well with cigars.
What well, you may or may not want to divulge, but or do you have a distillery you're working with, or do you have a
MGP? Everyone uses MGP.
Yeah, I figured it was
MGP. We also have one in Tennessee and one in Kentucky that we're working with too. And I was thinking about one of the ways to really make it my own is by blending multiple distilleries. And so we're playing around with those ideas and also toasting barrels and stuff. My bottler's a really great guy.
You're going to have to toast it.
Yeah.
The toasted barrels are just so good.
Yeah.
Man. It's just, I don't know anybody that doesn't like a toasted barrel product.
Sure.
It's just, it brings out that depth of sweetness that you don't get, that is somewhat lacking in some bourbon sometimes, where it's a little like, it's a little barrel bitter, or there's something just kind of like, yeah, this is good, but whatever. But especially with a cigar, and maybe I feel that way because I am always drinking whiskey with a cigar.
The
that
wood's
little bit of
giving
extra
you that
sweetness.
Yes, and also the vanillas, all the things that go really well with a cigar are in that wood, and giving it that extra wood is imperative for you, for sure.
Give it that extra wood.
It's expensive though. It makes it. It makes it so much more expensive though, and we really want to make
it's a whole other run of barrels you're going through, right?
I don't want to have to charge. I don't want to have to charge $100 a bottle. I want to try to get in a very comfortable price range for my people so that they can buy it consistently.
I have to get you a pair of these when we finally get those.
Yeah, those look nice, dude.
Yeah, they are. The brass Damascus.
Wow. Fancy.
Yeah, dude. See, that's what I'm talking about. Perfect draw.
Every time, almost.
Yeah, I mean, dude, for a bundle cigar, it's fucking unheard of, bro.
Yeah.
You know how many bundles I get that it's like a 50-50 on whether the draw is going to be janky or not?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, dude. A lot of the bundles I was buying prior, now I don't buy any of them. I still buy the Rocky Patel bundles that I get at Costco because those are Rocky Patel vintage cigars, and they're all really, really good. But it's also, those are like
those?
32 to,
Do you know who makes those?
Rocky Patel?
In conjunction with?
AJ?
Plasencia.
That's probably why I like them. I'm telling you, man. I have a thing. I have a
sweeter. Yeah.
I have a profile that I tend to lean into. But those are like $34 a bundle, but it's only bundles of 10. So, I mean, it's still a very good price for those cigars, but I still buy those. But since you started doing these, no more bundles. I'm done.
That's awesome.
I'm done on all the other bundles.
Good. Because, yeah, we had a Father's Day sale, and we blew out a lot of stuff, man. My whole office is like, why would you do this to us? Like,
why would you do this?
I'll buy lunch
my
this
question
week.
My question is, in 6 months, am I going to go to buy my bundle of cafeteria cigars and they're not going to be available?
No, they'll be there. Okay. Don't worry, I got you covered. You see this?
So,
I don't know. Can you see this? Oh, yeah, there you go. This is
a ticket. I can kind of see it's something very colorful. I can't tell what it is.
It's a ticket for the LCA experience. We're going to PCA this year, and we're going to have this experience. I won't leak it here until after the show because I don't want someone copying us, but we're going to do something fun over there, man. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been before, ever.
Really?
Yeah, never gone. I don't know if I'll ever go again, to be honest with you. I went up there and shot a commercial on these guys, trying to help the consumers understand what it is that the PCA actually does. We put it out. We got like 10,000 views, which is really good for us. And they kind of like hit it in the bottom of an email one time and haven't promoted it since. And I was just like, hey, man. And then also like they announced that this company is coming to PCA. And the company is going to PCA because they inherited their booth, not like really by choice. And so I wrote them and I was like, hey, man, do you think we could announce that Privada's going? Because a lot of people in the industry are talking about this. And they're like, nah, right. I don't think so. I'm like, all right, well, it's kind of like we went up there. We're doing all this stuff for you guys. I'm trying to make PCA cool. I'm trying to make PCA understandable for a consumer's point. Because really, that's what they want. They want the consumers eventually. So they want to do like a consumer day kind of thing. But the brands are totally against it. So it's a nightmare. Plus, I don't know. I'm just not getting like the warm and fuzzies. Like there's no reciprocation. And I love adding value to my relationships. And I want to add more value to them because it's for a good cause. But like if it's not reciprocating, you're not even going to really show off the work. Like the video we did was amazing. There's nothing about it that's, going to upset anyone or anything. Like it's just a good informative thing. So you get to know the people that are working there and what they do.
I hate it when I work with a company and I don't get the warm and fuzzies.
Mm-hmm.
I have several relationships I've ended because I just don't get the warm and fuzzies. And especially in the cigar industry.
Wow.
Which is why this is going to seem like stroking you off because we're on the live stream together, but it's one of the reasons why I almost exclusively work with Privada these days.
Yeah.
And it's because I've worked with a bunch of other people in the cigar industry, and it's always kind of like,
Robert
you know
Caldwell,
what I mean?
when my first conversation with Robert Caldwell, he said something about the intelligence level of people in our industry. And I just took that as, here's a guy who's like a little disgruntled with his industry. And that happens in every industry. As time has gone on, I've realized, and I was also always worried.
He was dead on.
I also worried that
I realized the motherfucker was right on. He wasn't disgruntled. He hit it on the head.
Up until this year, I've also always been worried someone could come and take my spot. Someone could do what I do. And I realize now no one is willing to work as hard as I'm working and as smart as I'm working from a retail standpoint. They're just not willing to serve their customers the way that I do. And so they're also not willing to innovate and create new products and make it fun all the time. And so now I really don't have any worries about that. I know one day some guy like me will come along 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and he'll be the new Privada and we'll be the, whatever of our time. But I don't know how to do it and just put it on autopilot, which we easily could. But I'm just constantly creating and looking for new and exciting things to do, like the bundles.
The bundles, man. That was one of the bigger things you've done lately that I think is gonna raise a lot of eyebrows.
Yeah.
Because I mean, of the bundles I've had, and like I said, I'm not saying this to jerk you off.
Yeah.
Of the bundles I've had, it's top tier. I mean, they really are. I wouldn't say that. I would just be like, yeah, they're good, man. Like, good job. But
yeah.
like, they're for what they are, they're excellent. Now, do they hold up with a $20 cigar? Well, of course not. It's a bundle. But I mean, for the price you're getting them at, like the quality and flavors and construction and stuff you're getting is
they're $8, $9, $10, $11, $12 cigars.
Easy.
That's what they
easy
are.
8.
That's what they are. I'm just telling you what they are. I know what they are. Like I know where they come from.
He's like, I know what they are if they weren't in a bundle, and they're 8,
right,
9, 10, 12
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's it, man. In current events, did you watch that video that you didn't watch the Floyd Mayweather Gotti the third situation?
You didn't send me a video.
Okay, I should have sent you the video. So, Floyd Mayweather.
I don't think you did.
Floyd Mayweather is doing these exhibitions against YouTube guys that want to get fame, and he makes a lot of money off of them. He gets like the entire pay-per-view and all that stuff. John Gotti, the gangster's grandson.
No, you just said you got to see what happened, and you didn't send anything.
So he.
I was making sure I didn't miss something. I'm like,
he fought John Gotti III, who is a talented up-and-coming MMA fighter who's brutal. He's been just kicking the shit out of people. Okay, and they did this fight. And
here's the thing, though. Let me say this real quick. Just let me interrupt for just 2 seconds.
Sure.
I think it is very unfair for a MMA guy to get in the ring with a boxer under boxers' rules, because obviously, especially somebody like Floyd Mayweather,
who's my God,
tougher. MMA guys, boxing or striking is only part of their arsenal. Right. Yeah. So obviously it's not going to be as refined as somebody's who that's all they do all day long.
And even their striking is illegal in boxing, 90% of the striking.
Exactly. Yeah. So to put an MMA guy in the ring with a top tier boxer and do boxing rules, I think is like, fuck, man. It's kind of tough for an MMA guy to compete at that level, because
if
you're
did
taking
the opposite,
away.
It'd be just as unfair if you did the opposite.
Oh, yeah, because if you did the opposite, the boxer would get destroyed, because they haven't trained at all in any of that stuff. So it's tough to – it's almost – there's no fair way to pair an MMA guy up against a boxer, because if you do boxing rules, it's unfair against MMA guys. If you do MMA rules, it's unfair against the boxer. So sorry to interrupt, but I just think it's weird when they keep doing these MMA guys with boxers.
So like you're predicting, Floyd is just tagging this kid up. He's just playing with him, right? Okay. Now,
picking him apart.
The ref keeps telling Gotti, every time you hold, you're getting too aggressive. He's basically, that's where he's manhandling Floyd, right? And he's like, dude, you got to stop that. It's not within the rules. And the whole Gotti camp, every time this ref speaks, they're like, shut the fuck up. Real like New York, like aggressive, like, shut the fuck up. You mind your own fucking business, kind of. He's like, it's the referee, guys. Like, come on now.
He's like, this is actually my business. That's what my business is. It's refereeing. That's my title. Like,
and so 6th round comes, and this dude starts, when he's holding him, he's, and the ref's like, that's it. I'm done telling you. I'm calling the fight. It was scheduled for 8 rounds. This is 6.5 rounds. He's like, I'm done with this. This is over. I can't control you. You got to go. So the fighter throws the ref out of the way, John Gotti III, and starts wailing on Floyd, right? And Floyd is block, what? It cracks this kid. The kid goes flying back, both corners. And when I say both corners, I'm talking about both corners and the crowds that are closest to them rush this ring. This ring had more people in it than I've ever seen in a ring, and they are fighting. It is a complete tug of war that looks like waves of these gangster-ass Italian dudes from New York that all want to probably be loyal to that family or something. And these dudes from, wherever the hell they're from, like in Vegas, supporting Floyd and ready for the after party. And, of course, both parties, like, if you appease them, it's probably good for your cause kind of thing. So dudes are throwing punches, and there's, like, a lot of physicality. And then the crowd.
Hey, Brian. Okay, there you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're out of focus for like a good 30 seconds. So you went back.
And then there's fights in the crowds. There's girls fighting each other. There's crazy stuff going on. It was insanity, and like I don't like that in a way. Like, it was very entertaining, though, I have to admit. But I don't like that, and it's the reason why I don't go to boxing matches. God forbid I end up in a situation like that where I'm with my wife.
I'm out. That's why I don't go to and my wife thinks I'm crazy. I don't like really crowded spaces.
Jeremy, let me tell you something.
And it's not just because
we're realists. Men are realists typically. We are realistic. Women love going out. They love doing new things all day. And that's fantastic. Sex in the City is every woman's dream. Awesome. Great. And I make effort to go to restaurants. I make effort to do things that I do not want to do. But I have to admit that as of the last year or so, there is always in the back of my mind, like, it used to be, hey, this anxiety that you have, this social anxiety is unfounded. It is not unfounded anymore. And that's what's dangerous about it. And that's what's going to make people stay home, because dude, some guy at the beach, 2 kids ran up and started shooting people down in Hollywood on the beach. You're not safe on the beach?
Dude, the world is a weird place right now, dude. It's a real weird place. And I don't even know what to say about some of it, because I have some tinfoil hat theories and stuff that I won't get into on here, because people hate it when I get into politics on here. But like, I just stay in my own lane, dude. How do you balance having a good marriage, having these feelings, but still you just still have to make the effort to go to certain places and do certain things? Like, we're going to a concert. I never go to concerts. We're going to a concert. I will not go to a concert. Yeah. I won't go to a movie theater. I won't go anywhere that there is a large amount of people crammed into a very tight spot. I just won't go. Period. Full stop. I'm not going. You could call me paranoid. You could call me agoraphobic. Whatever. Okay, fuck you. Fine. Say that. I just don't go to those things anymore.
Yeah.
I will go to restaurants that keeps my wife happy with going out to dinner.
I lost you for a second.
Things.
Lost you for 1 sec. So you will go to restaurants.
I will go to restaurants, and we'll go out and do stuff like walk and shop, do whatever to keep her, content with not just being at home all the time. But yeah, I'm not going to any crazy crowd, and I always carry a gun. If I leave my house, I've got a gun, and if I'm at my house, I have one within reach, like all the time.
That's always
full stop.
When I leave the house, sometimes I think about, man, like if I have a gun on me, like I'll probably like that. I don't know, man. It's just so permanent. Like when you because if I pull out, I'm shooting. There's very little chance that I'm gonna pull out and say, get on the ground. No, I'm pulling out because I have to shoot, because I'm protecting my life. You know what I mean? And like I hear stories.
Oh no, you don't want to do the whole pull out and get on the ground kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you skin that smoke wagon, you want to fucking shoot him.
My dad used to put he would get into like road rage situations. He would take his gun out and put it on the dashboard. And I'd be like, I knew even as a kid, I'd be like, Dad, it wasn't with me in the car as a child. I'd be like, Dad, you gotta not do that, because if they got a gun, we're gonna end up in a fucking shootout here.
Well, not to mention that's technically considered brandishing a firearm, and I'm pretty sure that's at least a misdemeanor, if not a felony. I can't remember what level of crime it is, but it is 100% sure a crime, and it will definitely, if at least get your concealed weapons permit revoked. You got to be real careful with doing that. Now, I'm not pulling my gun unless I'm killing somebody.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that because I hope I never have to, but I'm not ever pulling my gun unless feel like
use it.
My life is in danger, or my wife or my kids or somebody, like my loved ones around me, is in danger, and this is a last resort. Like if I don't do this, me or one of my family members is going to die. Like that's the only time I'm going to pull it.
You're supposed to.
And if I pull it, you're dead. 100%. I practice a lot. I'm a good shot. If I pull it, you're dead. Full stop.
Yeah, man. I stopped with the road rage. I was getting really bad road rage during COVID, and then after hearing about some of these shootings, I'm just like, you know what? I saw a guy shoot. You saw that video where he's like it's like 7:30 a.m. He's on his way to work, and he just empties his Glock. I guess he had a dash cam. And then he just puts the gun down and keeps driving. Like, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I don't want to be involved in that shit.
It's a weird place, and like I said, I don't want to get political because people freak out, and this could be a whole episode in and of itself. And we're already an hour and 20.
I'm more concerned with the balance of, I feel like a lot of wives want to go out and do stuff, and I think a lot of men who are supposed to be. And that's a whole argument itself, but we consider ourselves the protector of our family typically. Right. There's a concern there now.
I think it's a balance, right? It's a balance of pick the lower risk. Okay, let's be honest. Any of it's low risk, right? We live in the United States. We don't live in the Middle East or in Israel where bombs are dropping and shit's crazy and there's car bombings and just the amount of violence we have here. The news makes it out like it's a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, considering the amount of people out there and the amount
per
of
capita,
shit that happens,
your chances of being involved in something like this are none. They're very little.
Right. So for me to say pick the low risk things is kind of silly because technically anything in the United States is low risk because even though it seems bad, it's really not as bad as it seems, right? But putting that caveat out there, I choose to stay out of like high risk situations where if the shit hit the fan, low is in a bad spot. In a concert or something like that where there's that, if the shit hits the fan, not only do you have to worry about the person committing the crime or shooting or doing whatever, but you have a mob of people that is going to lose their fucking minds.
They're going to trample people. Hey,
people everywhere. Like it's a nightmare.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Let's end it here. This is an hour and a half, so let's end it here. Okay. I love doing this with you. We'll do it again next month. Actually, next month I'm gone, so we'll be back in August. And you and I will work out our schedules there.
Yeah, this month was a little bit of a clusterfuck because I was at Blade Show, then you didn't feel good, and we're a little late this month. But we'll skip next month because you're going to be out of town. Where are you going to go?
I'm going to PCA, Vegas, and then I'm going to Ojai, California. We rented a house in Ojai for a couple weeks.
So you're going to be gone like most of the month.
Yeah, a lot of the summer I'm going to be gone. So I will get with you back in August. I hope you have an amazing summer with your family. And
oh yeah, it's going to be pretty mellow. The kids keep begging me, and this is just me and you talking. This isn't part of the podcast, or it can be. It doesn't matter. But they keep begging me to take them to O-Town, and I'm like, we're not going.
Really?
I'm like, no.
Where do they want to go in Orlando?
Right, they want to go to Disney. And I'm like, dude, if they were giving away free tickets and $100 bills hanging out of strippers' asses, I wouldn't go to Disney right now.
Send them. Just send them with some friends. What are you know,
dude? Well, they're too young for me to feel comfortable doing that. 10 and 13. I'm not sending 10, 13-year-olds.
You're really gypping them of an opportunity.
Well, the thing is, I told them, I'm like, look,
bro, one time.
I'm not saying I won't take them. I'm not taking them in summer.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you do not
There's
go
no
in
fucking
summer.
way. I told them, I'm like, if you guys really want to go that bad, I've taken them to Islands of Adventure and Universal and all those places.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you guys really want to go to Disney, though, we'll go. But we're going to have to go in the off season. Like, when it's not 900 degrees outside. I mean, it's useless. You spend more time in line than you do doing anything. It's the dumbest shit ever. I'm like, why?
You spend most of the day in line, so it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
and it's like, and you
stay
pay
out
a ton
of there
of money.
as long as you can because eventually it's inevitable. But yeah, so all right, well, stay out of Disney. I'll be in touch.
I think we're good on the cigars for the lives up until I've been working with Darby and what's the new guy? Oh, look at you. Look at you. Okay.
And then
he's still making moves. People keep asking about it. People keep asking.
It takes time, but it's coming.
No, it will. I think we got now that we're doing the lives, and I wouldn't put this part on the the podcast.
All right, so we'll sign off here. Peace, y'all. Enjoy.
Peace.